I literally just talked to my phone for 5, 6 minutes. Didn't hit record. Yep. So today we are actually going to talk about the difference between perception and reality. And I feel that that is something that needs to be talked about in our community, right? You guys are blowing up the comment section and I love it. I try to respond to every comment I can, and I try to come back with as much positive feedback as possible. Even if you guys are not leaving positive feedback, I want everyone to have a great day and continue forward in any way they see fit, right? If my channel's not for you, I get that. If you comment and say, hey, I hate your channel, I'm gonna say, hey man, good luck, better luck with the next channel. Sorry. So keep it going in the comment section below. I know this video is gonna raise some hairs, but that's okay. Like that's kind of what I've been brought to do, right? So what I'm going to talk about is perception versus reality. In my day, if you watch South Park, right, there's one character who is a preconceived notion for all video game players, and you know who I'm talking about. It was the Cheeto dust, mother's basement living, underwear, dirty sweatpants, fat guy sitting behind a computer with carpal tunnel, right? And South Park poked fun at him, saying like all the South Park characters then became overweight, all of these things, living in their mother's basement, to the point where I think one of them even, goes to the bathroom in a little bucket, right? His mom brings a bucket down because he can't get out of his chair. That was the perception of video game players at the time, right? But Red Bull just did a full article not too long ago about one of their FIFA players and actually sending him through the full workup for one of their football teams, one of their soccer teams. So this video game player went through the same rigorous training as an actual athlete, right? Even though he doesn't have to run, he doesn't have to do any of these things, Red Bull sent him through it anyway. That's the exact opposite of the preconceived notion that most people have about video game players, right? And now it's 2024 and long gone are those days. Everybody plays video games. I have friends from special operations that make YouTube channels based on their video game play, right? So there's a preconceived notion, the perception is I play video games. It used to be that was you. But now if you say, I play video games, I play Call of Duty, I play whatever, they don't think of you that way anymore. Now they think of you as like, that's normal. And that's what leads us into today's topic, because so many people have the perception that Beyblade is a kid's game. It's a kid's toy, not even a game, it's a kid's toy. And you can't argue that fact. If you go to Target, if you go to Walmart, if you go to any store, they're actually sold right next to action figures, right next to Batman, Superman, Beyblade. It's right there. You're an adult going to the kids section looking at a toy. So we're not in the sports aisle. If people thought this was an actual sport, it would be in the sports aisle, right? If they could solicit it as a sport, it would be in the sports aisle. If it were a hobby, it would be completely separate, right? If it were even seen as a game, it would be next to Monopoly. But the way the perception in America of Beyblade is that you're sold in the toy aisle. Now, please, if you're from another country, which I know I have viewers from all over the world, if you're in another country, tell me in your stores, where do you find Beyblades? Are they in the toy aisle? Are they next to, like, Monopoly? Are they next to Clue? Are they next to those games like Yahtzee or whatever? Because I know there's probably nowhere except maybe Japan that they have their own aisle, they have their own setup, or they have their own little area in the sports aisle, okay? That's not the way that it's being marketed. So now we have perception versus reality for us, right? Perception is, you play Beyblade, that's a kid's toy, versus I am a father of 4 and a devoted husband. I'm not your typical Beyblade person, which I know a lot of you are over here because a lot of you are commenting and saying, hey, I'm getting into this with my kids. Hey, I'm doing this, stance based off of the martial arts I do. Hey, I noticed this, this, and this. You guys are also in this area over here where we're not people playing with kids' toys. We see it as a hobby, as something different, right? And I've gone into that in the past where I think it's more of a hobby like an RC car versus a sport at this time. So, we have to beat the perception out of our genre, out of our hobby, that we're all these people. And it starts with us, right? Like I've said multiple times in this channel, I don't watch the anime. My son does, I don't. It's not my thing. If you watch anime, that's great. But the perception, like how do you perceive yourself? How do you perceive yourself when you're squaring up at the arena, when you're about to launch? How do you perceive yourself? Do you perceive yourself like one of the characters out of the anime? Or do you perceive yourself as something else, right? I don't model myself or the way I play or anything based off of something I've seen in a TV show, right? Because I don't have a lot of background in it. My son does. My son, he's 5, okay? But he loves it. He wants to play the setups he sees on the show. He wants to, call out all sorts of stuff while we're playing. You guys have probably seen it in my battle reports. He talks during it, whatever. And that's fine. He's 5. That's what he enjoys. That's great. It keeps him engaged. And that's great. But as an adult, if I'm yelling at it, and I know it's not a real life object, that would be like me yelling at my arrows as I shoot a bow. They're not going to change direction mid-flight, cut a 90-degree angle turn and go somewhere different. That's not the way it works. So I actually perceive myself as maybe more of an athlete, or even a chess player, like, either like a Cameron Hayes or like a Magnus Walker, or maybe like a birth child of the two, versus like a character from the anime. Why? Because if I'm doing this, I'm leaning into us never being taken seriously. I'm leaning into that. I'm saying, hey, I don't want it to be taken seriously. I don't care. Please do not take this the wrong way. If you want to do that, if you're into cosplay, if you're into those things, do that. Do what makes you happy, right? Please do what makes you happy. But for me, this is more of a strategy, skill-based game. And I want to focus on the mechanics. I want to focus on the strategy, how to push and get the most out of my game versus standing, squaring up, and having 3 separate launches, all of them coming from the same place, leaning against a table, kneeling on the ground. Like my son was putting his stadium on the ground when he was playing Burst. When I got into X, I built a table. I built a table with the LEDs, with the whole 9 yards for us to play on, because I wanted to take it more seriously than just setting it on the ground. That's just me. I'm not saying that that's better or worse than anybody else. If you enjoy it, you don't have the space for a table, you don't have any of those things, that's fine. But for me, I want to be, and I say it in every video, I want people to look at this as a hobby, just like RC cars, just like anything else, that an adult can get into and not be judged, versus everybody relating it to an anime. So I know that this video is going to raise a lot of hairs. I know that a lot of people are going to get butthurt, and that's fine. This channel isn't for everybody, and I get that. But remember, if we want people to take us seriously, we have to take this seriously. And for me, that goes between the perception of Beyblade currently in 2024 and what we're trying to get, which, if you guys want it to be taken seriously, if you want to have the argument that it's a sport, if you want to have the argument that it belongs in the Olympics, we can't be the perception anymore. We have to start moving towards a different reality and treating ourselves as athletes. If you're not treating yourself as an athlete and you're treating yourself like an anime character, people aren't going to take Beyblade seriously. The only people that are ever going to take it seriously are other people that are into anime. And arguably, those people already play Beyblade. If we want more people like me, more people who think outside of the anime box, more people to think about it, or you want, so many people have said, well, I don't know how to get my friends into it. Don't treat it this way. If your friends aren't into this, you need to treat it more serious. Treat it as a bar game. Build a cool table. If you build it, they will come. Build a cool table, throw some LEDs on it. It's not hard. Build it, take it to, a brewery or something like that. Turn the LEDs on, drink, play. That's how you get your friends into it. Not, let me turn on the anime that you're not into. Let's sit down, try to force you to watch this, and then I'm going to tell you about it, and we're going to yell at the blades together. That's not how to get your friends into it. If they're not into anime, that's it. If they're into anime, maybe that's it. But, sorry guys, this one kind of ran over the 10-minute mark, but I hope that everybody has a wonderful day. And remember, if we want people to take Beyblade seriously, we have to take Beyblade seriously. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.